Yay, yay. Guess what, y'all? Fiddler. Now, I want y'all, if you're sitting at home in front of your TV and you're saying, well, who's she got on there today? Well, think about who's one of the first families of mountain music come right out of Copper Hill, Tennessee, and brought them little old boys down here to the Davis Brothers show. And there were the Barker brothers. And one of the Barker brothers, actually Paul Barker's here today. And actually Ma Barker's over here today, but Ma Barker's sitting over here being good. He's not, because Scott told her to either. Long story. But we are going to talk fiddling. And y'all are back. Miss Martha was here last year.
Yes.
Scott, you rounded her up and corralled her. And
Yes.
it's because your daddy was...
Fiddling Howard Cunningham.
That's right. And if you're the fiddling Howard Cunningham's child, you got to carry on tradition.
Absolutely.
And that's what y'all are doing. And I know my guys were there last year, and they filmed all this, and they love it, and they're going to be back this year. But we want y'all to be there live in person, too. So tell people why they need to be there live in person.
This is going to be the only place you can be on Saturday to see wonderful entertainment from small children, 6 years old, all the way up to people in their 70s or 80s.
Isn't that crazy?
For $5.
Yeah. And I understand there was a young fiddler last year. What was his name?
I can't remember.
About
his
8 years old. That was really, really good.
I can't tell you his name, unfortunately.
But he was good. He was good.
There was one that was probably 17, 18. He's played on the Grand Ole Opry a couple times since this competition.
Wow.
So it's really high quality people. I mean, you're going to get your $5 worth in the first 15 minutes.
$5. That is crazy.
Yes, and it's the format will remain the same. We'll tweak it a little to make it more for the folks, and make sure that people, get their money's worth as the day goes on. It's a full day.
And it starts at like 9 in the morning?
Starts at 9 a.m. in the morning. We start with beginning fiddle and beginning musicians.
What does it mean, beginning? Like somebody who just picked one up, or somebody who's maybe a year or two into it? What does that mean?
Beginning fiddle is somebody that plays the fiddle that's 12 and under in age.
Okay.
Beginning musician is a new category, and it's any child that's 12 and under that's playing guitar, banjo, mandolin. It can be any instrument that they want to
Doug
play.
and Becky Dabbs that are sitting down in Ball Ground, Georgia watching us, get that kid that y'all have got that performs everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been to any of this competition.
Oh, that's
this
great.
kid, I was watching a video of him last night. His daddy and his granddaddy and the whole family, they've got like y'all, they're generational. This kid is amazing. Those kids are going to be taking the place of old Paul Barker one day.
That's right. Probably before long.
Yeah. We've got to bring that new generation up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is a great place for kids to be able to perform.
Yeah.
Now, when you were little, did your daddy encourage y'all, or did he just take the ball and run with it and didn't care whether you liked it or not?
My brother started playing music when he was about 5 years old.
Wow.
And he now plays steel guitar, bass, rhythm guitar, and but I have an older sister that took fiddle lessons. I took bass lessons but gave it up for sports.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But I've always been around music all my life, and he recruited me to work in registration for this event, and that's why we're trying to carry it on, preserve the history.
How many years have they been doing the Fiddlers Convention?
Well, this is our third annual.
And before that, it was at the Georgia Mountain Fair.
It was at the Georgia Mountain Fair, and it was probably there for 35 years. That's just a guess. So
I was wondering, because they're approaching their 75th anniversary, and when we look at who has stepped on stage there, it's amazing. It's amazing, from world-class fiddlers to people playing the piano like Liberace. They played so well. And they started there, and then they went on, many of them went on to play on the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah, Scott was talking about the Fiddle King from last year. And I think the first year he came, he played on the Grand Ole Opry the night before he came down to compete.
Isn't that crazy?
He's playing with Wyatt Ellis now, which is a prodigy out of Upper East Tennessee. Let me say this about the Fiddlers Convention. if you've moved into the area and you want to see what the Deep South is all about, come to the Fiddlers Convention.
yeah.
That's the best way to be just immersed in what the Deep South and traditional. You know, it's great, and nobody there's going to make you, if you speak with an accent, nobody will make you feel funny. You know, and of course, that's like I can go a little ways off. Used to people say, "Oh, we love to hear you talk." So where did you learn that? And I said, "We learned that when we was about 3 years old."
Yeah, sitting on a porch with Mama, rocking back and forth as she was churning.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. You know, when we think about that, truly, a lot of the music that we've seen at the Georgia Mountain Fair started on somebody's porch. Sure. Your daddy probably had a crowd that gathered around on Sunday afternoon after church, and everybody played something. And you either played it, or you listened, or you did buck dancing, you did something. These mountains are responsible for much of the talent that's on the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, they played music on the front porch. The whole family, they'd sing, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and I say now today, you were talking about those games, take the video games and get rid of them and hand your kid an instrument.
That's right.
And let them learn to play.
I'm going to do a plug. We're getting ready to, they're starting a program up in Blue Ridge, Georgia at the Arts Center, and it's the JAM program. It's the Junior Appalachian Musician Program. And it's going to be offered to children. It's through a grant, and it's going to be offered. We're going to help with it a little bit, maybe do a little teaching. But anyway, it's a great opportunity to preserve this in our area.
Yeah.
And we possibly...
That's important.
We've talked about maybe incorporating a little into this, interjecting. We're gonna see. We got a lot of stuff we got to get in here. And this is a one-day event.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to talk about, but it's great, and it's already started in a lot of places. I know John C. Campbell Folk School offers it now, and it's good. It's bringing a lot of those musicians, and it's more along the playing by ear, like the front porch, you know, and where you can just pick it up and go with it.
Often the best music ever played by ear. I mean, that's the true talent. That's the true talent.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, and I'm not a Doyle Lawson fan anymore, but I used to, when Barry Scott was with him, I started listening to him. I wasn't a bluegrass fan at all. I was like the rock and roll, the Beach Boys, Motown, country music, that was it. And then started going places with them, and then all of a sudden I said, they're talented. You know, they're really talented.
Barry Scott, one of the best singers I've ever listened to. One of
and
the
they
greatest
started
voices.
right here at ETC.
Right here in this studio.
Yeah. So I'm so thankful that here 20 some odd years, I ask y'all, I've been doing this for 20 years, and y'all were here before me. So over 20 years, we've been bringing this music to television. And that's rare to find local talent that sat on the porch. I wish I could remember, do you remember Tracy's last name?
Manus.
Tracy Manus. She was one of the first that started here and started going out and getting folks to come and play. And it was getting folks off the porch, you know?
She realized the importance, I think, maybe of, and it takes somebody with a little bit of visionary, maybe like you, that said, okay, this is something we probably need to incorporate. You really promoted and helped a lot of the early
when we
musicians.
started doing the cooking show, all we did was cook. And then Fred Wyndham, who yesterday was his birthday, and we have a picture of him we're going to show in a minute. God, I miss him. We were doing the cooking, and he said, how long will it take you to do this recipe? And I told him, he said, well, let's add some gospel music to it. And so it was his vision to do that. And then when we went to Channel 57 in Atlanta and then Channel 16 up in Greenville, I was sitting in church one day, and Reagan Riddle was watching me on TV at home before he was getting ready to go to church. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because we went places I could never have gone had we not incorporated that music. And those banjos and those steel guitar, and that kind of took Heart of the Home to a whole new level because we brought in that music. Now when y'all came and did music, excuse me, had y'all ever done live TV or done recorded TV like Fred did it, where he put y'all in there and recorded it?
I'd have to. I don't want to say yes or no. I can't remember.
Because he took his headset off while y'all were doing it. I'll never forget it. And he said, God, they're good.
That was a lot of practice. A lot of practice. A lot of
A lot of front
practice.
porch.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of practice.
yeah.
We had, we practiced at least 2 evenings a week, and sometimes it'd be 2 hours long. And so and then everybody had to work on their own, on
Yeah,
their
yeah,
instrument,
yeah.
and the family harmony. It's people.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a good time. It draws you closer, and and you see exactly how much people will tolerate when you ride in a van that far with folks.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, the night that y'all called me and said, hey, we've got something for you to listen to, and I went in, sat down in your basement, and the
Yeah.
boys did Heart of the Home theme song, and it was perfect. It was perfect. We'd been waiting on the magic man, Barry Scott, for 2 years to write me a song, and took the boys 20 minutes or so.
that was a fluke. Usually,
And it's amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing.
They did a good. They wrote the Dollar Store. One day I was going to work. Of course,
Yeah.
being what we were born into the situation we
Yeah.
had to work for a living.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway, I was going to work, and I came in, and Angie said, "These guys wrote a song. Said you need to listen to it." And I thought, oh, we may get a lawsuit.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's always requested.
Oh
People
yeah,
always request it.
yes,
Yeah.
we still do it.
Yeah. Well, that front porch talent is what this event's going to be about, because some little boy who stepped up and started playing remembers his grandpa playing,
Yeah.
remembers his daddy playing, and that natural talent.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Now, what do they win besides bragging rights? I see $7,000.
Yeah, we give away in total $7,070 of prize money. First place for Bluegrass Band is $1,200. So that's pretty good for this size competition. So we award prizes for the first 3 winners, top 3.
And judges, tell me where you get the judges.
The judges are accomplished musicians. Sharon Bounds will be there. She's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. She is a fiddle player. She also teaches lessons. Red Henry will be there. He lives up in Virginia. He's a mandolin player. And Alan Shedd is a guitar player, and he's out of South Carolina. So they're very familiar with
What's right and
music,
what's wrong.
and they judge at a lot of other competitions in other states. Yeah.
Do y'all have a favorite, and then when that favorite doesn't win, you go,
No.
No.
No. We never. No.
I would have a favorite. I'd be that one and say, well, I think he was better than, there's always somebody has that personality and that little,
The personality comes through in the instrument when
Yeah.
they play.
Yeah.
People don't realize that, but and especially a fiddle, and with all instruments, what you're hearing, that's someone's interpretation of that song. It's never, and that's something most people don't even realize.
Yeah.
And that's what you get if you play by ear that you don't get if you play by music.
Right.
You
right.
know, and if it's someone playing by ear, he's playing you what he's feeling from the heart. He or she, let me say she, is playing what's coming from the heart. And especially with a fiddle, that can make a mournful sound. I
Yeah.
told him one time, I said, that'd bring a tear to a glass eye.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, it
Oh,
really
yeah.
would. The fiddle can touch, it can make sounds that the other
Yeah.
instruments can't make.
And it is so weird because looking at that fiddle, you're like, how could they make that do anything? And it is amazing what it can do.
You know, they used to put, and this was done to me by some old timers. They put rattlesnake rattles inside the instrument.
No.
Yes, if they liked you. There's an older gentleman, he had taught me to play, but once I got to where I could make it do kindly what I wanted to do with the instrument, he said, here, you need this. And he just popped them in, and I didn't see what it was, and I said, what was that? He said, that's rattlesnake rattles, it'll keep the devil out of it. Anyway, but if they liked you, and a lot of the old gentlemen, the old fiddles,
Yeah.
you can shake them, and I still have those
That is too
rattlesnakes.
cool. That
Yeah.
is too cool.
Yeah, and that's part of it. If they liked you, that's not told usually
Yeah,
on television
yeah.
because, of course, it's against the law to kill a rattlesnake.
Oh.
But anyway,
But we didn't kill it to get the rattles.
No.
We found
Somebody-
it laying upside the road dead.
Somebody probably ran over it. But anyway, that is a true story. That actually happened, and that still goes on today. And the
Wow.
old timers, and that's passed down. I am one of the old timers.
Yes.
If they like you, they've probably got a set of those in their pocket, and
I
they'll
love
pop
that.
them in.
That is so cool.
Before you can stop.
Now, have you thought about writing a book or doing a documentary about your daddy and the time and the people that were influenced and maybe went on to do something really great?
It might be a good thing to do for retirement when retirement comes.
It would be interesting because a lot of people don't remember him, don't know him, but people who sat on the porch with him, some of them are still around. And it would be really cool to pass that on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good idea. I also had a uncle, Ross Brown, who was a left-hand fiddle player.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of history with him as well.
That would be strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And he competed in this competition for a lot of years. So
That's crazy. Now, how many people did y'all end up with last year?
competing, we had between 70 and 75 people compete last year, which we felt like was a great number for the second year. So we're hoping this year for at that many at least. That's about all we can accommodate from 9 in the morning until about 5 in the afternoon.
Right.
But we're hoping this can get bigger and we can go back to maybe a Friday night format as well to include Friday night.
And you start with the younger people. Okay, so in the morning, you start with the younger folks.
Yeah, and then we go into dulcimer, dobro. Then we go to the 2 banjo categories, mandolin. We take a lunch break, and this is, you know, people always want to know, well, when's this happening and when's that happening? Time is a hard thing to estimate, but basically we shoot to get through mandolin by lunchtime. We take a short lunch break, and after lunch we start with bluegrass bands. So most everyone wants to be there around 12:45, 1 o'clock for bluegrass.
Is Raven Welch signed up?
I don't know.
I've been watching her group lately, and well, y'all didn't get to go to Kimsey Ridge. That is a great singing, and she did. She had her group there. It is just so cool to see. She was a kid,
Young person.
across the
coming
street
along.
from you,
Yeah.
and was influenced by somebody. And now she's in her 30s, and she's still playing music and still loving it. And somebody influenced her. So there's somebody here, some of these
And
old timers.
There's more coming along. And yes, she's doing a great job. But what you see is, you can watch these young folks and the ones that it really takes in,
Yeah.
the one that gets it, and they'll have a group form around them, and
Yeah.
that's awesome to watch. And you can see that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know, that hey, they're taking off, and they've got a group that's forming around them. And that's like we was talking earlier. That young man that played the fiddle and won that competition. This young man named Wyatt Ellis, he used to pick up at a little place called next to Townsend, Wallen, Tennessee. They've got an old schoolhouse that they call Rocky Branch. Anyway, and they've just kept that thing up and keep it repaired, and it's a picking every Friday night. Anyway, and there's some legitimate. You'll see people, some of them that play with Barry Abernathy from here.
Wow.
Darrell Webb, he's
Yeah,
there a lot.
yeah.
You'll see a lot of the people that have played the opera, and they're just walking the halls,
Yeah.
and there's picking in every room. The fire marshal stopped them from picking in the hall. No picking in the halls. They informed us that right off.
Wow.
The fire marshal said they couldn't do it. But anyway,
Whatever.
and they'll be picking in good weather, no thunderstorms. They're all out in the parking lot, and it's just. But it's something to see. But this young man, Wyatt Ellis, started, and I'm sure, you know, but he was local to that community. But he's really good now. He's got a complete band around him of people like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
really, really, you know,
Yeah.
you can just tell it's took off, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like good attracts good and evil attracts evil. And so when you're good and you stand out and you,
People know you're legitimate.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the real deal. It's the
Yeah.
real deal. And that's what, well, do you remember when Jonathan came here, as tiny as he was, with that banjo, and everybody said, banjo's bigger than he is. Who taught him? Because to me, did your children get lessons or did they just pick it up?
No, they had lessons. Jonathan had lessons from 2 or 3 different people, but the guy that really got him started and everything was a guy named Mr. Little from Ducktown, Tennessee. And Mr. Little was a fantastic teacher. He knew how to break it down, and he told me after a few years, I can't remember how long he took lessons, he said, I've showed him everything. He said, he's doing as much as I can do.
Wow.
Anyway, and I said, well, and me and his mother, Angie, talked, and I said, I don't know. She said, I think he needs to keep staying with it. So he did, and then Cleaston Paget, and then I don't want to leave anybody out. There's several people. Al Smith showed him a lot, brought him up to date on a lot of the stuff that was current to big time picking. He played with James McKinney. He's played with J.D. Crowe. He's got a banjo that's signed by everybody in the country. Anybody,
crazy?
Steve Dillon, plays with Third Time Out or did. And I'm telling you, he was exposed to a lot of top level pickers.
Yeah.
And Mike Snyder, he and Mike Snyder, we went to the Georgia Mountain Fire. We were opening up for Mike Snyder. Anyway, and Jim Ed Brown and Little Jimmy Dickens had did a show earlier in the day, and they could hear Jonathan picking back there. And Little Jimmy Dickens come back there. He said, this guy's littler than me, and he can play this banjo. And Jonathan was so small, you know. And he went in, he went in Mike Snyder's dressing room, and they played up to almost time for us to go on stage that day. But
that is so awesome.
Yeah, he was just a natural. It's a God-given talent.
Yeah.
He could, you know. And he's left-handed, but he learned to play right-handed.
Yeah, that is just crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Now, did your dad ever talk about who influenced him? Was there a grandfather or dad?
Well, there was a large age gap between my dad and his oldest sister, Gertrude. Her husband was Ross Brown.
Okay.
So he gave Daddy his first fiddle.
Okay.
And, you know, taught him along the way. So that was a big influence on him.
And that's so important. And people don't realize, you know, those kids are watching and they're listening and they're, maybe I could do that.
I want to say this. Used to, and this is something, this is real evident. Now kids have YouTube and they can hit the replay button.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, there was no.
No.
And you had to listen to a record and figure out what they were doing. You know, if you wanted to get a lick or play like somebody, if I wanted to play like Doyle Lawson, I had to go out, purchase Doyle's stuff.
And listen
and he was one of my
over and
heroes,
over.
I must say.
Yeah.
But I had to purchase it and, you know, and listen to it and say, okay, this is, how's he doing that? How's he doing that?
Yeah.
And, you know, they show, there's so much more now, and it's not cheating. If you can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, but still, it's a different day now.
Well, I remember the day that Barry Abernathy and them were over here, and a fiddle is one of those things. I grew up in the city where we went to see the Atlanta Symphony, and it was a violin. It wasn't a fiddle. So, and then I come up here, and I'm like, well, down there it sounded kind of boring, and up here it sounds kind of cool, you know. So it's so different to see that instrument do the things it does.
Well, a story. Over the years, I've seen, there was one family from Metro Atlanta that they had 3 kids and they brought them to the competition. So the oldest daughter went to Georgia Tech, and there was another girl who had competed in the competition. They both went to Tech, but they were violinists. But they came to the competition and played bluegrass. You know, they played fiddle tunes. And so it was so great to see that. And also, not only that, they were great as musicians, but they were smart.
Yeah.
You know, smart girls.
Yes.
And I ran into the mother a few years ago, and she said, that her daughter lives out in Texas, and she's an engineer now.
Wow.
But she plays gigs at night and on the weekends.
And loves it.
And loves it.
Yeah.
So, So we have a lot of people who have been trained as violinists.
Right.
But they come and compete.
Yeah. It's amazing to me. I told you the story about my son came in and he said, Norman's going to sell me his his fiddle, his mandolin. And I said, can you play a mandolin? He said, no, but I can learn. And I said, okay, how you going to learn? YouTube. Yep. He sat down in front of the computer with that mandolin and learned to play. He could play the guitar, but he learned to play by watching YouTube. And I thought, well, that was cheaper than lessons. Definitely cheaper than lessons. And he did learn to play it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
it's crazy,
You can,
yeah.
and it's more the will than
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And a lot of people said, "Well, that's God-given talent."
Yeah.
They probably had a really strong will
Yeah.
to learn to play that.
He had no God-given talent related to us. We are all just klutz when it comes to music. I don't know where he got it. Maybe we got him out wrong cabbage leaf up at Babyland. I don't know.
They said, I heard an old man, Cleaston, he told Jonathan, he said, you got to have the want tos.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to want to do it.
That's
you
it.
You got to really bear down on it.
Well, we hope there are going to be some want tos there, but right now we're going to show y'all one of last year's competitors, and I don't know who it is. We'll see. So y'all sit back and you're going to get a treat. An old one, a young one, I don't know. It's up to Trace. Let's see what he's done.
Fingerstyle guitar, we got them all back there hemmed up.
All right, we got 3 in this division, and then we're going to go straight into the flat pick guitar.
We doing 1 or 2?
1.
We are doing 1. We are doing 1. Okay. The first contestant from over in Manchester, Tennessee, Joey Gibson.
We're going to do y'all one called the Foggy Mountain Special.
That's Joey Gibson from Manchester, Tennessee. Up next, from Spring City, Tennessee, we have Johnny Wilson.
Is that mic number 4? It's 4, yes.
This is an old hymn, so most of you should know it, the old rugged cross.
from Spring City, Tennessee. And our last contestant from Bloomingdale, Georgia, Leo Lindblom. Judges, are y'all ready?
Yeah, don't fly away.
Fingerstyle guitar competition. We'll give our judges just a few minutes to get their tabulations together and get them back to Miss Martha, get everything squared away. And we'll get started here in just a minute with the flat picking competition. All right, and the fingerstyle guitar, third place, Leo Lindblom of Bloomingdale, Georgia. Second place, from Spring City, Tennessee, Johnny Wilson. And first place from Manchester, Tennessee, Joey Gibson. Right.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time. And delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We can't play about our future or our finances. Make moves, set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up, stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things. This is Pretirement.
and see us anytime you can.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool,
making a masterpiece, or just making memories. Writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
We're back. Old-timey ways and old-timey days with old-timey folks. Folks, me and Scott. She's young. She's still, she's young. Let's talk a little bit about some of the people. And Scott, you've got some stuff you want to talk about, some of the folks who went before. Somebody made this possible. Somebody made this happen for your daddy. We've got to continue this generation after generation.
Tommy Magnus was a well-known fiddle player from our area up in there, but his actually before runner for him would have been Alan Sisson, and he wrote a lot of the old-time fiddle tunes the way I understand it. I don't want to give people the wrong information, but he wrote many of the old-time fiddle tunes, not all of them, but a lot of them. And anyway, Tommy Magnus was more mainstream. He actually played for Bill Monroe. And the way I understand it, the first really recording of Katie Hill, he was playing for Bill Monroe. He said, let's speed this old song up. It was an old mountain fiddle tune. Let's speed it up because of Bill brought, that's what bluegrass was, played fast and furious,
Yes.
But anyway, and they speeded that up, and that was Katie Hill, and it was recorded. Yeah. It's amazing. Alan Sisson's buried like within a mile of my house.
Wow.
Anyway, where his gravesite is, and Tommy Magnus, he was downtown McCaysville. I think he had a car wreck or some kind of automobile accident that ended his career, maybe as fiddling. But,
how sad.
Yeah, but he played with all the big boys, all of them.
And there's somebody sitting out there today who's going to influence these kids. Now, when this event happens and parents come and they think their kids are great and their kids don't win, are most people, okay, I'll go home and I'll practice and I'll do better? Do feelings get hurt? How do people react when they don't win? Because everybody wants to be a winner.
Well, I've only seen a couple of times where you have hurt feelings over not winning, you see a lot of support, really, especially when you have a group of teenagers. They really support each other. I've seen that a lot over the years. So
that's so important.
And I think, if they're serious about it, they go home and practice more and just come back the next year.
Right. Yeah, and if they lose and they say, that's all right, I'll be back.
They know. They pretty much, they know. But it's an honor to be in, that's like me. If I could sit down and play with Sam Bush, no doubt he'd win the competition.
No doubt.
I'd say, take a picture, please.
Or
Doyle Lawson or somebody, I'd say, take a photograph. I said, at least good enough to sit down and be in the same category with them.
And remember when Picking in the Park happened? Does that still happen up in McCaysville?
It does. It's changed over the years. It's a little different style now. It's a lot of country now, but there's still some folks.
Scott, there is no country now.
No,
there is no country now. There is rock and roll with people saying we are country music. There is no country music.
I totally agree.
The last song that even resembled country was Miranda Lambert, Mama's Broken Heart. And the rest of it has gone to the Dickens.
But and I'm really not at liberty to say, but even in our town, I think things are getting ready they're going to do a throwback. And
I would love that.
That's all I can say right now. Because
that's what we started with, and that's what we loved. We've proved that here at ETC. They still watch programs that were recorded here in 2000. I mean, that's a long time ago. And y'all are sitting there Saturday nights watching it, and you're loving it. And that's what is so important. This music stays here.
Yeah.
And generation after generation.
They'll pick it up and dust it off, and
That's it.
it's all new.
That's it.
It's new. And they can
Sometimes
put
we
a
don't
little
dust it, we just throw it out here.
But yeah, and stay tuned. I'm sure, I'll probably let Sherry know and let you know when things are getting ready to happen again in our town. And it's going to change. Picking in the Park, I think, is going to stay, but maybe a little different, offering at another venue,
That
an
would be
acoustic.
awesome.
And it'll be something. We'll let ETC know and you, and that way, maybe they can film a little of it.
That would be
encourage
really
people.
cool. Yeah, that would be cool. And the idea that our guys are going to come and they're going to be filming this, I will say, I like things to move fast, and you can't make it go fast. So it takes all day. All day. Do people get tired? And they're like, I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I'm ill. How fast do they know the winners? After each competition, they announce the winners?
After every four.
Okay.
After every 4 categories, we
Okay.
announce winners. And that way, the young kids that have driven from Birmingham, Alabama, if the parents want to go ahead and head home,
Right.
they know how their child did, and they
Yeah.
get to the award and the picture.
Good.
So, and then at the end of the day, we have a fiddle off between the winner of the junior fiddle category and the senior fiddle category. And that
Has a
is-
junior ever beaten the senior?
Yes, yes.
How cool is that?
That is-
How cool is
Yes.
that?
Let me tell you, I've
too
got a
cool.
friend that's going in. He's entering the senior division. And I told him, I said, "Don't you let him show us up."
And sometimes, years ago, it was always a fiddle king. But it might be a fiddle queen.
There you go.
just
Yes,
never know.
that's
You
right.
never
There you
know.
go. Yeah.
So,
Some really good talent, really.
Yeah, that is so cool. That is so cool. Okay, what else? What are we missing that we need to tell folks
well,
about?
we're a 501c3, so we're always looking for donations. People can go to our website, GeorgiaStateFiddlersConvention.com, and get additional information. If anybody wants to send us $10, we're
Yeah.
happy to take it.
Yeah.
Because we do have to raise all our money. We will have food trucks there, vendors there, arts and crafts. So it's going to be a fun day. They can come out, watch, eat lunch, shop with the arts and crafts people, and it's just a good, clean event.
Yeah.
Family fun.
Yeah.
Family
That's
fun.
right.
Family fun.
What
Now,
else did I miss?
I think that's it. It doesn't seem like let me say this. It doesn't seem like a very long day.
yeah.
Of course, we're there all day, but you get to go out. You've got a little wristband you wear, and you can go to the food trucks or mill around and look at the arts and crafts and go back in. It's supposed to be like almost 100 degrees Saturday. Let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my.
those seats are.
So those Southern bells will be glistening.
Well, no. It's in that center. It'll be cool enough. You can wear a long sleeve shirt.
There you go.
And if you get cool setting, you may want to bring one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you'll just get set back. It's like theater seating, and you can just sit back in the AC and enjoy It's really good. It's a good event.
Now, do we know any of the groups that are going to be there? Do you know any of the groups yet? Have people pre-signed up?
We have had some, but no bluegrass bands yet. A lot of people just come in Saturday morning and they're ready to register.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And any favorites for the bluegrass? Because locally, we always used to the Barker Brothers, obviously, were one of the favorites of the bluegrass. And then Barry Abernathy, of course, and he went on to be, what is it, Appalachian Roadshow?
Yes,
now?
they're really good.
They're amazing.
I saw on
Yes.
the charts they've
Yeah.
got a song, and they keep one in the top 2 or 3,
Yeah.
and that's the one that's getting airplay on a lot of
They're
different.
amazing.
And I'm not going to advertise the radio station, but it's a lot of them that just feature just bluegrass, and
Yeah.
they're up there on
Yeah,
a lot of that.
that is
so
cool.
they're really good. And we don't want to forget old Barry Palmer. Man, he's been up at the Georgia Mountain Fire for years, and he's done a great job, of helping promote this, and he's a very talented musician.
Yeah. And it's going to be, if you hadn't taken this up, once it left the Georgia Mountain Fair, what would have happened to the Fiddlers Convention?
It probably just would have died out.
No,
You know?
I
mean-
don't. It would have to this area. This
Yeah.
is, and let me tell you, it's sought after, but not so much. We've had this stuff. It's like your grandmother's biscuits. You don't miss them till they're gone. But other
you
people,
go.
if they come into town, they say, "Those are pretty good biscuits," and we
Yeah.
like to take those to Macon, Georgia.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
nothing,
that's
nothing,
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. Those
Yeah.
folks
But we
are
want to
great.
keep it in these mountains.
This is
Yeah,
where it belongs to
absolutely.
me.
I believe
This is
that.
where it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about places that are famous for music because Muscle Shoals, Alabama, some of
For
the
sure.
greatest writing ever. And we were talking about people like Marty Stewart who have performed at the Georgia Mountain Fair. The Georgia Mountain Fair, I guess, is the first place I saw the Fiddlers Convention. And we were there doing something else and realized that it was happening. And I was like, wow, there's some talented people up there.
Yeah.
A lot of talented people. Now, from those talented people, do some of them still come back to you? Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
people who've been in there a
Yeah.
long time?
Yeah. We still have some of the same faces that come. We always have new faces every year. But yes, Rob Piercy, you just saw him playing backup on the guitar. He is from Smyrna, Tennessee. He's been coming to Georgia for years,
That's so cool.
and he backs up everybody.
Very
So,
talented.
Very
And
talented.
He's a genuine person too. He'll just talk to you just like he's your cousin.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's very talented.
If he's your cousin, he come with moonshine, didn't he?
Maybe, I don't know.
I was going to say that is so funny because we haven't mentioned that sitting around on the porches there might have been a jug or two. If our family was involved, I know there was because they couldn't pick or grandma, they could make shine. So.
Everybody's got to have a talent.
That's right. That's right.
These people who compete religiously in these events, they do the entire circuit. You know, they do the one in Alabama, they do the one in Tennessee, the one in Kentucky. They, you know, they've got the dates of all of them, and they go to pretty much all the competitions.
That's so cool.
Yeah, just like people who are big sports fans.
Has
right.
anybody won 2 years in a row? Same person?
Yes, there has been some people over the years who have won twice.
Who held that title, and people are like, I'm going after that title.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
That's really difficult. And that's not as easy because, you know, that's like having a pretty girl at the dance. Everybody wants to dance with her.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
and it's you know, I know that's very plain spoken, but that's the truth.
That's the
There
truth.
will be people like that title.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
that's the reason it's so, you don't think, I know it moves a little slow for most folks.
Yeah.
But it's intense. It's like getting down to the ninth inning of a baseball game and that thing being tied. And it's that suspense will be several times, four
yeah.
times, you know, every little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's pretty, it's intense.
Well, we're going to show some of the fiddlers right now. So sit back, and these are some of the folks that might be back this year.
All right.
Judges, are you ready? All right.
Up first, from Elkton, Kentucky, Noah Goebel.
We're going to do Cotton Patch Rag.
Kentucky. All right. Our final contestant from over in Bloomingdale, Georgia, Marina Lindblom.
Judges, are y'all ready? Y'all good? Okay, all right.
I'm going to be playing the Ukpik Waltz.
Marina Lindblom from Bloomingdale, Georgia.
Now the question is, how many of y'all are like me and glad you do not have to judge?
Okay, we're going to tell y'all that that young man won, right? He was amazing. He also has played on the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes.
Amazing. We're going to give away tonight, I'm going to do on Facebook, I'm going to give away 4 tickets to this event. And you're going to have to answer a question about today's program. So I hope you paid attention. And I will ask a question on Facebook. Thank you both for being here today. And thank you for doing what you're doing and carrying on your daddy's legacy and carrying on what these mountains are known for. Some awful good talent.
Yes.
Some really good talent.
We appreciate you being so supportive.
Well, and
thank you so
it's
much.
great to be part of ETC that still loves bringing this mountain music to y'all. So if you like what we're doing when we're replaying all that old Saturday night music, send us a little, it's like the Parton family, you say, send us a card and a letter and tell us all about it. Because we want, you know, we're bringing that music 20, 25 years ago. This studio was filled with people who've gone on to be with Jesus. And I bet the band up there's getting better. What you reckon?
I'm sure it is.
Larry Davis is up there saying, all right, boys, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's time for us to get out of here. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget YouTube. Go to YouTube, Sherry Martin or Sherry Martin Heart of the Home. Don't cost you a penny to do it. Just sign up, subscribe, and you will know every time we're doing something. We are posting a bunch of our old programs, and you will see Pa Barker when he was a young man. You'll see Ma Barker when she looked like a little teeny bopper, too. So we're posting a bunch of the old stuff. Check out YouTube and be with us here at ETC. We're just keeping these mountains full of music, and that's what it's about. See you again soon, guys. Bye.